Over the last couple of years, rumours have swirled that Lucasfilm have been in active development on two specific Star Wars story films, namely solo outings for two fan favourite characters, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Boba Fett. While neither of these movies were ever officially announced by Lucasfilm or Disney themselves, a number of credible reports from reputable industry trade papers surfaced suggesting that the two movies were definitely on the cards. Prior to the release of Solo, reports ramped up suggesting that James Mangold, the writer-director behind Logan, was supposedly developing the Boba Fett movie as writer and director, while Stephen Daldry, director of Billy Elliot and 4 episodes of The Crown, was lined up to direct the Kenobi movie, with Ewan McGregor pegged to reprise his role from the prequel trilogy. However, soon after Solo was released to poor box office takings, another report surfaced which mentioned that Lucasfilm had decided to place both films, as well as any other spin-off movies, on a temporary hold. This was quickly squashed by a source at Lucasfilm soon after, yet more recent comments from Disney CEO Bob Iger announcing that production on Star Wars films would begin to slow down has made the report more likely. While Iger made no specific mention of the Kenobi and Fett movies, a more telling indicator of their fate might actually be this small quote hidden in Variety's article announcing Kathleen Kennedy's contract extension as Lucasfilm president. The report reads, "A spin-off development slate which included a possible standalone for Star Wars character Boba Fett has been flushed. Her attention will now be directed to a new core trilogy, beginning with Star Wars Episode 9, directed by J.J. Abrams." It would seem that the poor reception to Solo has shaken things up at the studio and has created an otherwise fresh slate when it comes to Star Wars side movies. Of course, we know that Lucasfilm are going to be focusing pretty heavily on television output for the Disney streaming service in the near future, and these are two projects that I could personally see working pretty well in a smaller format. Ewan McGregor, of course, isn't afraid of the small screen, as shown by his recent involvement in FX's Fargo series, so I imagine it may not be too hard for Lucasfilm and Disney to persuade him to make the dive into television once again. I've always thought a new Kenobi story set in the era between episodes 3 and 4 would require more than one movie, but never really saw Lucasfilm producing an entire Kenobi trilogy, so perhaps a series of 6 to 8 episodes featuring numerous adventures of Kenobi on Tatooine would be the best way to tackle this story, and it would certainly allow McGregor, who has matured greatly as an actor since he last portrayed Kenobi almost 15 years ago, the chance to completely delve deeply into the character. I feel like his portrayal of the character still has so much left to give. Boba Fett, on the other hand, is a character that I've never really cared too much for. He's pretty much just a bloke in a suit of armor that really doesn't ever do anything all that epic, except fly around with a jetpack for a little while and then wind up inside the Sarlacc pit. So seeing him on the smaller screen in a series of bounty hunter adventures would actually be pretty great. And without an actual face to the name, Disney could easily and fairly cheaply find an actor to fill the role without having to rely on an existing A-list actor to jump on board. Perhaps Tamora Morrison, who played Jango Fett in Attack of the Clones and re-recorded Boba's dialogue in the special DVD editions of the original trilogy, would be up for it, and we know that Daniel Logan, who played young Boba in Attack of the Clones, has been lobbying for the role too. Depending on what era Boba Lucasfilm decide to go with, the pre-original trilogy or post-original trilogy, I'd be happy with either actor. So for now, let's put this speculation to the side. With no official or reputable evidence suggesting that these stories will be reconfigured for a television format, we are left with one thing here, and that is that for the time being, these movies are more than likely dead before they even became official. If this is true, if these proposed movies are now well and truly dead, who is to blame? Well, first of all, we can place the blame on the poor box office reception of Solo, the first live-action Star Wars movie to lose money during its theatrical run. I've produced a video detailing my thoughts on the contributing factors to Solo's failure, including release timing, marketing, the idea of Star Wars fatigue amongst audiences, and in some small part the Solo boycott, in which a small minority of rebel fans aim to take down the film to send Lucasfilm a message. While I will never say that these fans in particular killed Solo and the proposed Kenobi and Fett movies in effect, I have heard a lot of them lamenting that their boycott didn't have the desired effect on the back of this news. That instead of listening to their rebellion and giving into it by giving them more good Star Wars movies, they will instead be given no more Star Wars movies altogether outside side of the Skywalker saga, and the one person they do not want running the movies is, well, staying on for another 3 years at least. Well, what I have to say to this is, what on earth did you expect? This is the #1 rule of business and supply and demand. A company provides you with a supply of products and you don't give them the demand that they need, they won't give you any more products. And this is exactly what has happened here. They gave you Solo, a movie which was actually pretty great, but because you refused to support it because no one ever asked for this movie, they're not going to give you any more spin-off films. People need to stop looking at Lucasfilm as a sentient being that has a right to tend to the hopes and dreams of every fanboy on the planet. Lucasfilm are, as they always have been, a business. And as a business, they do not work for the fans, they work for themselves. As a Star Wars fan, it is not your right to tell Lucasfilm what to give you or to demand anything from them. You are not owed anything, and anyone who thinks they are is being incredibly selfish. You show them spite, throw tantrums, harass their executives, creatives, and staff. Why on earth would they kindly work towards making your dreams come true? You do not work for Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm does not work for you. You are not their client and they are not yours. They are a business and you are their customer, full stop. On one hand, I am devastated that we may not be getting our possible Kenobi movie, a movie that I have personally wanted for so long. But on the other hand, I'm kind of glad that Solo's boycott and The Last Jedi Rampage has come around and bit the haters square in the bum. And this ramification, while disappointing, is the best, most hilarious, most poetic result out of this whole thing. Once again, I will not agree that the boycott killed Solo single-handedly, but if this is truly something that you believe because you took part in it, just know one thing. Lucasfilm didn't kill Kenobi and Boba Fett. You did. If this is your first time viewing one of my videos, you like what you've seen, you'd like to see more like this in the future, then please don't forget to hit that big old subscribe button up on your screen right now, and also hit that like button down below if you're feeling extra generous. Also, don't forget to check out my many social media accounts, and please consider supporting me over on Patreon. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day.